So you've decided to brave the pirate town of Freehold. Here to plunder the booty, get all the treasure, save the girl, and possibly get a mount in the end. Give you a rundown of some of the quick mechanics as soon as you run in here. You'll notice that the mob directly in front of you is an Iron-Tide Enforcer, and with him are his two lovely puppies, the Iron-Tide Mastiffs. Over onto the left-hand side, you'll notice there's an Iron-Tide Corsair, which we'll go ahead and mark up here as an X. You'll notice there is an Iron-Tide Crackshot, which we'll go ahead and mark up as a square, and that there's also another Iron-Tide Corsair, which we'll go ahead and mark up as a moon. Now, pay close attention to this following mechanic. Your initial pull is going to trigger shark bait up there, uh, dropping poo, dropping his green AoE. It's random, but it does seem to always land on the healer, and it doesn't really give you a lot of real estate for maneuverability. So if you are lacking in DPS and trying to keep your first pull of just the Iron-Tide Enforcer and his puppy dogs pretty close to the entrance here, please keep in mind there's going to be a lot of movement. You're going to have party members constantly standing in the goop as they try to avoid pulling the group that we have marked over in this location. So with that said, keeping an eye out on the group on the left, the only one that really needs to be crowd controlled or paid attention to is going to be that crack shot. As soon as this pull goes off, I typically do like to run a little bit off to the left and drag that mob that's just under that tent there. The crack shot does not close distance, however. If you were to utilize any crowd controlling efforts, my recommendation would be to sheep, sap, somehow incapacitate the crack shot, as he does have a tendency to want to stand back and snipe your healer. So you can actually pull this group off to the left, and the group behind them, which also includes an Iron-Tide Bonesaw, which will mark up as the green, another Corsair, which will go ahead and mark up as the diamond, shine bright as a diamond, and then another Corsair, which will knock out as a circle here. Now, all of those targets will close distance to you, but the only real mechanic to keep an eye out for is the Iron-Tide Bonesaw does have a healing balm, which he can not only heal himself, but other members of his faction here. So, again, if you are going to be planning on pulling all of these groups, my recommendations would be to go ahead and some form of crowd control onto the square, and some form of crowd control onto the green triangle, unless you are confident that you're going to race straight in, pull the group behind them, including the green triangle, and somehow bring the group over to meet up where the square is. This is not a bad strategy, however, if you are on high level mythics, undergeared, have poor damage mitigation, or have a healer who instead is browsing on eBay instead of watching your health, this could end up being a problem. So what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the poll on how to actually get all of these mobs to meet me at our friend the Crackshot over there. He's not really expecting any guests for dinner, but however, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. So let's get this show on the road. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up with an Avenger's Shield. That seems to get their attention. At that point, I'm going to get these attention here. Let me throw another Avenger's Shield, gather threat, and of course I'll be slowed, run up here, and at this point I have all the aggro. Now, one of the things I have noticed if I am standing under here is I'm actually not going to get hit by the green goop, but you'll notice there is still a considerable amount of AoE complements of an Azurite grenade. So we'll just get these guys burned down. But you'll notice none of the green goop is actually hitting me. This is actually very important, because if you are melee DPS heavy, one of the recommendations would be to have them all stand under here while bringing the mobs down. Keep in mind though that any of your casters, particularly your healer, that is standing outside of this tent is going to have a bad day playing in the paired group of things. One of the questions I've been asked about this tactic is, should we all actually just meet you underneath here and stand on there? You could. However, all of you are going to face a minimum of one Azurite grenade, so you will need to have a group heal available. However, you'll notice since that time, there was no other AoE that was thrown down. So there are some tactics that do involve, yes, that the tank were to gather everybody up, typically on between a 5 and a 10-second count, And then the tank is just going to face everybody in this direction while the healer stands behind so no one gets backhanded, um, by which you typically can remain semi-safe. But I typically also don't like having healers in the line of fire anyway or within close proximity of a mob that could completely have an aggro wipe and turn around and one-shot them. So this is going to be part one of our series here. I will pause this video and we'll pick it back up when we are at the top of the stairs.